everybody, it's Miss C. So today we're going to be talking about clay notes, or like the basic stages of clay. So we have some videos already up about different clay projects you can do, but doing those projects does get easier if you have some of this stuff in mind. So over here, we're going to have clay notes. We're going to say stages of clay. And we're going to draw ourselves a timeline here. So clay overall is just dirt that's been mixed with water. And as we know, dirt and water make mud. All that clay is special mud. This is markers drying and dying. Why do you have this still? Throw this away.
All of them might be drying.
We'll do what we can. All right, so all that clay is specialized mud. It is volcanic rock that has decomposed into dirt, and then that dirt has been mixed with water to make this mud. It is extremely finely ground, which is why it doesn't feel like dirt. It feels like something Play-Doh-y almost. Now, because it has just dirt and water, as you know, it sits out in the air or it sits out in the sky, because you can dig this up out of the ground, water evaporates out. And as time progresses, it dries out. Water leaves. And that is the process of how you get clay different stages. So your very first stage, way over here, is the wettest stage of clay. It's called slip. More wet. So slip is used as clay glue. It's not so much a workable stage of clay as it's a useful stage of clay, because there's a particular process called slip and score. If you look at our totem video, you can find some information on it. But basically, whenever you're trying to stick two pieces of clay together, you put a little bit of slip in between so it kind of glues itself together. It's not the only thing you do. Do not try and only put slip. That won't work. Trust me, I've had kids try. But slip is one of those necessary materials for that step. Now, where it actually becomes usable is the next step along. Called plastic. Plastic clay is what you normally get fresh out of a clay bag. It's super squishy, it's really soft, it's easy to mold and change. It's soft, it's moldable, meaning you can move it around with your hands, and more importantly, it's weak. Plastic clay is very weak clay. It's super wet still, so it can't hold any strength. You try and make a big long giraffe neck out of plastic clay, and it just kind of dropples down and dies. Like the giraffe's head is on the floor, and so is his body, because all of his legs broke too. Like, plastic clay is very squishy. It's very easy to smooth. It's very easy to shape, but it is not good at holding any strength. You can't hold up a giraffe neck or a giraffe leg on it. Now, right after plastic, we have a stage that we use with our kids, but is not an official state of clay, that we call cheese hard. And it's gained a little strength. It's a little bit stronger, so it's still soft, but stronger. Usually around this time, you're going to see small little cracks in the surface. Small surface cracks. Now, small surface cracks, really easy to deal with. You just kind of rub over the top, no big deal. But this is generally the place where we ask our kids to actually do most of their shaping and changing, because cheese hard is not so hard yet that it's going to make big cracks. Small cracks, easy to fix. Big cracks, a little harder. Now, from cheese hard, we're going to go to the next official stage of clay. And this is going to be leather hard. Leather hard has two stages. Soft slab and hard slab. Soft slab it can bend, but it's strong. Say, for example, I want to make a mug. I'll cut like a long rectangle out of a soft slab and bend it around into a circle. to make like a toilet paper tube almost situation. And the soft slab is just soft enough that when I bend it around, I won't end up with major cracks along that bend. A hard slab, on the other hand, this is what I would be doing if I needed something to be stiff like jerky. Stiff like jerky. Cracks a lot. That's supposed to be a C and it looks like an E. So hard slab is stiff like beef jerky. It is like a piece of cardboard. I could take a piece of leather hard hard slab and kind of whack it against this board, and it would make a sound kind of like being whacked, and it wouldn't dent much, and it would stay nice and flat even if I started banging against something. Now, mind you, might get a little dent in it, which I don't want, but like I could do it and it wouldn't just like collapse on me. So it's stiff like jerky. But if I tried to bend it, say crack it open like a book cover or something like that, it would crack a lot. And this, it's not easy to fix. Last stage before we start cooking is bone dry. Bone dry clay is the last stage of natural evaporation. All the water that can leave has. Bone dry is also the stage that you have to reach before you cook your clay. If you try and cook leather hard clay, any water left in there is gonna boil in the kiln, which is the big oven that we cook the clay in, and literally pop your piece apart from the inside out. Like just shatter, like explode. Like a lot of things, if you don't attach them correctly, will just kind of fall off in the kiln. This is not fall off in the kiln. This is explode in the kiln like a very small, like big time firecracker. Like it's a big deal. Bone dry, water, all the water that can evaporate has evaporated naturally. Everything after that point has to be forced out by the kiln being super hot. Now, what's wonderful about this particular set of stages, these are the more wet or more dry, is that all of this, until you cook the clay, can be made to go backwards. Naturally, the clay wants to go this direction on this little thing. He starts out wet, he wants to dry out. And he will dry out faster or slower based on the environment around. If it's a really dry, airy day, if you have very warm hands, or if you have very dry hands, it might dry out faster. If you have very moist hands, moisturized, if you moisturize regularly, you might have it dry out less quickly. If you touch it more, it will dry out quickly. If you touch it less, it will dry out less quickly. But all the way up until bone dry clay, if I took bone dry clay and I dropped it into water and I let it sit there for a couple of days, it'll scoot backwards into slip. Now that isn't a perfect change either. It'll usually start on the outside and work its way to the inside, so the outside will be slip while the inside is still like soft slab or hard slab, but it does go backwards. Now that said, for any project you do not assume that you're going to be able to get your clay to go backwards in enough time for you to finish any projects. More than likely, it will take several days for it to go backwards in any strength. So if you are at hard slab and you need to get back to cheese hard, that's going to take like a week. And some of your projects will not be that long. So don't trust it. But you can move backwards through these stages of clay. All right, so all of that said, other things to keep in mind is what you're actually building at the time. So for example, I had that example of a giraffe with his neck. You can't build that out of plastic clay. You could shape his head, you could shape the body, you could make all the legs and stuff, but then you'd have to leave them to dry separately until they're about the strength of hard slab. Remember, I can whack that against something before it'll bend. And now that I've formed this neck and this head, and it's been allowed to dry separate from its body for a couple of days, it'll get to hard slab. And then I can stand it up and it'll just stay. Same thing with the legs, they'll just like stay. They won't bend, they won't break. So some things you have to think about what you're trying to aim for, and if it needs to hold any strength before you actually put things together. You can shape it all and then put it together where it needs to be put together. And then you just gotta wait for it to get to the bone dry before firing it. All right, so that's all we're gonna put in this video. We're gonna have one more video on the kiln stages. But yeah, thanks.
Woohoo! Let me just take a
Close up.
close up so they can see. All right. Bye.
Bye.